Hello and welcome to Crossing Bridges. Ladies and gentlemen, today it's my pleasure to have Honorable Mayor Bill Bogard of the City of Pasadena as my guest, as I've had the pleasure of having him on my show for the past 11 years, ever since he became our illustrious mayor and after addressing the state of the city. Recently, he did the same thing very eloquently, and today we'll expand on some of the highlights of where we were, where we are, and where we are going. But before I do so, I would like to expand briefly about Mayor Bogard. I've had the honor, of course, and pleasure of knowing him during that span of time. He has truly been, not only in my opinion, by majority of the population of our city, as the best mayor this city has had the honor and pleasure to have. He's a genuine, sincere, professional, ethical individual that has the interest of the entire Pasadena at heart. He has continued to progress and working with the City Council, our city manager, and other agencies to make sure that City of Pasadena prospers. And the evidence is here. We have seen high-tech companies, financial companies, and many other important companies have moved to Pasadena, made Pasadena their home base, and as a result, Pasadena has expanded economically, socially, and profitable. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Mayor Bogard and expand on the topics that we spoke about. Bill, good afternoon and welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, sir, very much. Nat, you're always so very gracious in welcoming me, and I appreciate that. From my point of view, as mayor, I have the privilege of working with lots of capable people in Pasadena. We work together in moving the community forward, and you're very much a part of that effort to serve the needs of young people and to meet other community needs to make Pasadena better.
Thank you so much, Bill. I was very impressed with your presentation of the State of the City last week, and I would like, with your permission, to expand on some of the highlights.
Certainly.
As you recalled and you indicated, in 1998, this country was on the verge of bankruptcy, the highest unemployment, recession, and it was this like Titanic sinking. And of course, it affected all the cities in the United States as well as worldwide. Pasadena for somehow stayed abreast, a little bit above others. And of course, we suffered tremendously economically, socially. But last year, the City Council, under your leadership, passed a balanced budget for the first time. If you be so kind, expand on the balanced budget and its benefit for us in 2013. At the same time, expand on the effect it will have on us in a positive manner, please.
Nat, Pasadena has some strengths, some institutions and some people and some history and some architecture that gives it an advantage over other cities. So I think we should admit that Pasadena is a very blessed community. But when the recession hit in 2008, there's no doubt that Pasadena was hit just like other cities were hit in regard to substantially reduced revenues from the normal sources that cities look to, the sales tax, the real property tax, the utility tax, and so on. So Pasadena was called upon, starting in 2008, to undergo a very significant restructuring of its expense levels in terms of the efficiency with which services were delivered and the number of persons that were involved in delivering services at Pasadena City Hall. Over the next couple of years, a lot of hard decisions were made to reduce the level of expense. And our city manager, Michael Beck, and his financial team, Andy Green and Richard West and others, are just very good at looking and understanding the financial picture of the city. And so last year we were able, ahead of other cities, ahead of the state of California, because of reduced expenses overall, and without having significantly affected the services that are so important and apparent to the people of the city. To adopt a balanced budget for the first time in a number of years. And I'm pleased to say, as a member of the Finance Committee, that we've reviewed the performance of the city for the first 6 months of the fiscal year, and things are going well. They're not only meeting the budget that was adopted last June, but performing ahead. Not a lot ahead, but a little bit ahead of what the budget called for.
A little bit is better than none at all.
Exactly.
You also mentioned about the pension reform. Can you expand on that, please?
Yes, the important thing that Pasadena has accomplished with respect to well over 2/3 of its employees, and will continue to work with the others, is that we have, through negotiation and without any work stoppages, been able to arrive at the point where employees are paying the full 8% pension contribution that is part of the CalPERS, California Public Employees Retirement System pension program. And millions of dollars are involved over time. There's an immediate fiscal benefit if the employees have agreed through negotiation to pay the full 8%, which the city was paying part or all of previously. That obviously is a significant benefit to the general fund and allows us to provide services and make improvements that we otherwise couldn't afford.
There are many cities still that have problem with the pension plans of employing, and they're suffering and having setbacks. Am I right, Mayor?
Well, that's true. The opportunity to make significant improvements in pension costs is limited in California because employers, cities, are not permitted to reduce the pension program as to any employee that is currently employed at that community. So the opportunity to save money relates to who pays for the pension benefit, and I've talked about that.
Yes, sir.
And what level of pension benefits will be provided to new employees. Other cities haven't been successful yet in coming to grips with that.
Since the balanced budget has taken place, we might have some reserve, some excess funding. The infrastructure that we talked last year, which had stopped because of, again, the problem that existing in our society and community, once again is back on the move again. Is that correct?
The city is strongly committed to investing in the future. This year alone, in the fiscal year ending June 30th of 2013, will involve the investment by Pasadena of over $80 million in public infrastructure. That goes to our water and power systems, it goes to streets and sidewalks, a portion of it goes to the Rose Bowl. And so the city has been focused on assuring that we continue to make capital investments in the future in the city to assure that the quality of life and the quality of service in the city continues to be at a high level.
During your term, and I'm saying that with all due respect, and you need to get credit for that, Bill, Pasadena has become a well-known city, not only was in the United States, but worldwide, because of all these wonderful high-tech financials, other major companies that have moved in, and you should get some credit for that, if not all, because you have been very eloquent by traveling, expanding, promoting Pasadena, and now the fruits are bearing because many of them are expanding in our city in 2012 and 2013. Would you please expand on that?
Just one example of a significant new company that came to Pasadena came about a year ago in 2012. It's Green Dot Corporation.
Yes,
it's a company that makes a credit card kind of product which provides a credit balance on the card, which is renewable upon the payment of proper charges. So when Green Dot relocated from the San Gabriel Valley to Pasadena, it brought 500 employees. And employees contribute significantly to the economic operation of a city, to the vitality. Not only do they earn their salary, but they buy lunch and they buy their groceries and make other purchases in the community, and many of them come to live in the community. They use our services of all kinds, medical services, for example, business services, and so on. They also take advantage of our wonderful inventory of arts and culture organizations, museums and theaters.
There are also some housing projects taking place, as well as a new fire department that's being reopened again.
Yes, in this year, 2013, we expect that Fire Station 39 over on Avenue 64 will open again after a very substantial rebuilding.
Yes, sir.
And that was controversial. The way in which that would be determined was controversial because the people of the neighborhood felt so strongly that any interruption of fire service by reason of the need to upgrade the fire station would be a risk and a danger to them. Fortunately, everything has gone well in that regard. Last year we reopened Fire Station 32 in East Pasadena, which had undergone a very substantial renovation. Pardon me. So that kind of that kind of reinvestment in the city lets the people know that city government is committed to assure their safety and their well-being as part of being in the community and paying the taxes that they do.
The renovation of Rose Bowl is going according to the dates that we're expecting to open up. Could you expand on that also about, I believe you mentioned about the possibility of refinancing the outstanding debt of the Rose Bowl, and there's some funding being raised by organizations associated with Rose Bowl.
Well, that's true. You know, this project to renovate the Rose Bowl is in its third year as planned. By the end of the summer, when the UCLA football season starts again, the Rose Bowl will be in a very good condition with a number of significant improvements that lead to the overall safety and security of fans, to the comfort of fans, to their enjoyment of events, because the circulation throughout the Rose Bowl has been improved, or will have been improved. It will be easier to access concession stands and restrooms. So the fan experience will be substantially improved. Now, because the cost of the renovation exceeded the original estimates, not 100% of the project will be finished in 2013. Certain elements, and I don't have them in mind, will be carried over to 2014 or 2015 as funds become available. But I don't think there'll be a fan in the stadium on January 1 of 2014 who appreciates that there are still some additional improvements that the city intends to make to assure that the Rose Bowl is with us for another 90 years.
You're also getting the BC Bowls coming to Pasadena next year.
That's true. On January 1, when the Rose Bowl game takes place, that will be the 100th Rose Bowl game in this great Tournament of Roses tradition. And then, as you said, a week later, the BCS game will take place at the Rose Bowl. So Pasadena will have the opportunity to see up front and live the National College Football Championship for 2014.
And UCLA finally started moving in the right direction, had a great season, and more crowds coming in, and hopefully that will continue with more benefits and revenues for our city.
Absolutely. I'm a great fan of UCLA. I think it's a great university and it has a great football tradition. But I also have a proprietary interest in the Rose Bowl. And so when UCLA, under Coach Mora, had a strong season this year, it was a great joy to me because we know that when football teams are winning, the fans come in larger numbers.
That's true. The temporary housing that we are planning for a major NFL to come because of creating revenue, are there any teams that have shown any interest thus far?
Well, I don't follow the NFL football closely. A couple of the teams that have been mentioned in these conversations in recent months that might be considering or might end up coming to Los Angeles include the team in San Diego, for example.
Chargers.
The Chargers.
Yes,
and there are two or three other teams that because of the condition of their stadium and the discussions they're having with their local city, people speculate might be ultimately deciding to make a change. I think the Oakland Raiders are on that list of possible transfer teams. As of this point in time, and we're right in the period of time when any change of that kind is likely to be announced by NFL football teams, no changes, no moves have been made, and the persons who observe NFL activities closely predict that there won't be a move for a year or two. If ever. There's no assurance that the NFL team will come back to Los Angeles, even though there are two very strongly presented proposals to welcome NFL team back to Southern California.
The Gold Line, when it was established a few years ago, it really benefited Pasadena for transportation to back downtown back, and it's been a joy basically. And I think we discussed about that last year. It would be wonderful to sit on a train, read your newspaper, let the driving be taken care of by someone else, not the expansion going the other way toward Azusa and further. Could you expand? How is that coming along, sir?
The project to construct the so-called foothill extension of the Gold Line is going extremely well. It's structured as two phases. The first phase is from Pasadena to Azusa. The second phase is from Azusa to Montclair, even beyond Claremont, which was the original destination. The first phase, phase 2A of the foothill extension, is underway. A bridge that is required over the freeway in Arcadia was completed about 6 weeks ago, and there was a great celebration.
Right,
people were very excited about that. Construction has begun on a maintenance and operations facility in Monrovia that will service the trains that are using the Gold Line, as well as other light rail systems in Southern California. So that's a 24-acre, $160 million job. And then the basic track, the word that's used by the people on the inside is alignment. The track is going to be constructed starting this year.
Yes, sir.
It might well be at the end of the summer. The design work has been done, and so all the preparation work is taking place at this point in time. And that alignment or track that will carry the trains off to Azusa is expected to be completed in the year 2015.
Each city that's involved, they have been working very team-oriented. I know there were a few, not obstacles, but there were a few properties in the way that negotiations had to be made with them, and they came aboard. Am I correct, Mayor?
Absolutely. There were a couple of situations where the governmental power of eminent domain was threatened, but it was never pursued. Fortunately, the budget for the Gold Line was such that the construction authority was able to negotiate successful acquisition packages for all the land that is needed. So all of that land is under the control of the construction authority.
Also, for the benefit of viewing audience, the Gold Line being extended to far as Montclair and hopefully beyond that will bring business to Pasadena, because a lot of people, for example, elderly people, do not drive, the high cost of gasoline, the congested freeways. What better way for someone who wants to come to Pasadena and shop, have a day, by taking the Gold Line?
There's no question about that. It will serve customers for the city, for all of the amenities that we offer, not only the retail shops, but the museums and theaters and the doctors and lawyers and accountants and so on. All of those services are available in Pasadena, and they're needed by people in the San Gabriel Valley. So customers and clients will come to Pasadena on the Gold Line, but employees will come to their jobs in Pasadena as well, reducing the amount of cars that will operate on the streets of the city and strengthen or enhance our quality of life by having less traffic.
The 710 freeway, which has been a major, not obstacle, kind of a negotiation going back and forth, is back on the track again?
Well, I would not say. I would say there's a substantial uncertainty as to the future of the 710 freeway project that has been pending now for over 50 years. The surface freeway, which is all that anybody thought about until about 5 or 6 years ago, the surface idea of bringing the freeway from the northern terminus of the 710 freeway near Alhambra into Pasadena, that surface project is no longer under consideration.
I see.
There's been very little celebration of that because the controversy over the surface freeway was so strong over the years. You'd think there'd be a celebration, but what people are concerned about is the alternative approach to provide for a flow of traffic in that same corridor that I talked about from Alhambra to Pasadena is a tunnel that would be 100, 150 feet below ground. And people are concerned about the construction. Should that project ever be approved and funded, the construction would be a very extensive and disruptive experience for the cities of Alhambra and for Pasadena. And then traffic would be attracted from other areas of Los Angeles. The 5 freeway, for example, is crowded. Trucks and cars will come from the 5 freeway and use the 710 freeway, bringing all the noise and the pollution and other problems associated with heavy traffic to the Pasadena area. So the project for the 710 freeway continues to be highly controversial. The cost of a tunnel is way over what it would cost to have done a surface freeway. People say it's $6 billion, some people say it's $10 billion, but in an era of reduced or limited government resources, $6 billion for one project that has a questionable purpose, just 4.5 miles connecting there when there are other alternative routes in the region. There continues to be, long story, but continues to be substantial uncertainty as to whether the 710 will ever be resolved through any sort of a freeway type construction. There might be other things like a light rail system or a fast bus system that is put in place to reduce the congestion in the region.
Bill, we have a few more minutes left. If you'd be so kind, can you briefly expand in regards with your role and City Council working with PUSD for expansion of education to students and some other offerings that you're making?
Over recent years, Nat, and you're aware of this, the city and the school district has formed partnerships for a number of things. Number one, Pasadena provides police officers on the campuses of Pasadena schools for the last 6 or 8 years. And that's a very important and valued relationship on both sides. We've built tennis courts or rebuilt tennis courts. The schools pay part of it, the city pays part of it, but the city gets in return the opportunity for members of the community not associated with the school to use those facilities. So other athletic facilities are concerned. Well, what the city has done in the last year is to develop a work plan with the school district whereby there will be regular consultations back and forth and a very active determination of how the city, the community, and the schools can work together to use those precious resources for the benefit of young people.
Outstanding. Education really is the key foundation of the success of any individual, society, and country. And I'm so pleased regarding your involvement in the school system. We have about a minute left. You concluded your eloquent talk Thursday night by quoting President Obama. And what you said, which I'm sure most people listened to inauguration, that every citizen has to take part working with the president to make our dreams become a reality, not only through their vote, but participating. You also asked our citizens of Pasadena to do the same thing. Before I address the viewing audience, Bill, it's always a pleasure, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You are a genuine, wonderful, uplifting person, and God bless you, and may you continue to serve Pasadena the way you have. And I want to tell the viewing audience, ladies and gentlemen, there is seated a gentleman who truly gives everything he has to make Pasadena better. However, it takes a team, it takes a family, and Pasadena is a family. Join Mayor Bogaard's team and do whatever each one of us can do to make Pasadena continue to be prosperous. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.
What a great finish,
Thank
Nat.
you so much.
Congratulations to you, and thank you for including me.
It's my pleasure, sir.